Glass castles. Olivia Meadows stood in her sunlit apartment, surrounded by cardboard boxes overflowing with pristine white envelopes. Wedding invitations that would never be sent. Her fingers traced the embossed lettering that announced her marriage to Julian Blackwood, scheduled exactly 7 days from today at the Foster Botanical Gardens. A bitter smile crossed her face as she remembered how she'd fought for that venue, a place that celebrated her passion for plant photography. While Julian had pushed for the more prestigious Grand Harbor Hotel, it doesn't matter now, she whispered to herself, the afternoon light catching on her engagement ring, a 3-carat diamond that had always felt slightly too heavy on her finger. Her phone buzzed. Julian's name illuminated the screen. She hesitated before answering. "Olivia, we need to talk." His voice was clipped, professional, the same tone he used when speaking to difficult political clients. "Meet me at Riverstone Coffee in 30 minutes. Before she could respond, the call ended. A sense of dread pooled in her stomach as she changed into a simple green dress, pulling her auburn hair into a loose bun. The drive to Riverstone felt like traveling to her own execution. Julian was already seated at a corner table when she arrived, his tailored suit immaculate, his posture perfect. He didn't stand when she approached. "Julian, what's going on?" Olivia asked, sliding into the chair across from him. He studied her with cool detachment, as if assessing a campaign strategy. "I'm not marrying you, Olivia." The words hung between them like shattered glass. Olivia felt her throat constrict. "I don't understand. Is this some kind of joke?" Julian sighed, checking his watch. "I've been contemplating this decision for months. You're a wonderful person, Olivia, truly. But you're not what I need right now." "Not what you need?" she repeated numbly. "My career is at a critical juncture. I need someone who can open doors, who understands the political landscape." He straightened his tie. "I've met someone else. Genevieve Porter." Olivia felt the room tilt. Senator Porter's daughter, a woman whose family connections could propel Julian's consulting career into the stratosphere. "You're leaving me for her?" 1 week before our wedding, Julian had the audacity to look annoyed. "The timing is unfortunate, I admit. But Genevieve understands my ambitions. She's connected, sophisticated. Everything I need to reach the next level." "And what was I to you?" Olivia's voice broke. "A comfortable phase," he replied with casual cruelty. "You were safe, predictable, but I can't build the future I want with someone who spends her days photographing plants when she could be networking with people who matter." Tears threatened, but Olivia refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of him. The guests, the deposits, 3 years together. People will gossip for a week, then forget. Julian stood, adjusting his cufflinks. "I've already moved my things out. My assistant will contact you about the apartment lease." He walked away without looking back, leaving Olivia sitting alone as conversations continued around her, oblivious to her collapsing world. That evening, her best friend Dahlia arrived with takeout food and fierce loyalty. "He's an absolute monster," she declared, pulling Olivia into a hug, "and completely blind to what he's throwing away." But all Olivia could hear was Julian's voice. "Not enough, not enough, not enough." Blooming in shadow, 6 months had passed since Julian walked out of Olivia's life. 6 months of rebuilding, of rediscovering pieces of herself that had gone dormant during their relationship. The apartment, once filled with evidence of their shared life, now reflected only Olivia. Her botanical photographs lined the walls, potted plants thrived on every surface, and her camera equipment occupied the corner desk that had once held Julian's political files. On a crisp autumn morning, Olivia wandered through Westside Park, a neglected green space in the industrial district. Here, against all odds, rare urban flora pushed through concrete cracks and abandoned lots. She knelt beside a patch of resilient wildflowers growing from a narrow strip between warehouse buildings, adjusting her camera to capture the contrast between delicate purple petals and harsh metal structures. "Most people wouldn't even notice those," a deep voice observed. Olivia looked up, startled. A tall man with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes stood a few feet away, hands tucked into the pockets of his weathered jacket. "Most people aren't looking," she replied. standing and brushing dirt from her jeans. Theodore Reynolds, he said, extending his hand. Theo, to most. The name registered immediately. Theodore Reynolds, founder of Wild Earth magazine and prominent environmental activist. His publications had inspired Olivia's love of botanical photography years ago. Olivia Meadows, she managed, shaking his hand. I'm a huge admirer of your work. Likewise, he smiled, gesturing to her camera. I've seen your urban botanical series online. Your perspective is extraordinary. You find beauty where others see only decay. Olivia felt warmth rise to her cheeks. You've seen my photographs? I've been following your work for months. That's actually why I'm here. He withdrew a business card from his pocket. Wild Earth is running a special issue on urban ecosystems. I'd like to feature your work. For a moment, Olivia couldn't speak. Wild Earth was the premier nature publication in the country. A feature would transform her hobby into a legitimate career. I'd be honored, she finally said. Over the next several weeks, Olivia worked closely with Theo, selecting photographs and exploring new locations for the feature. He was different from anyone she'd known before. Passionate about his work but humble, attentive to details but never controlling. When she spoke about her photography, he listened with genuine interest. Why urban plants? He asked one evening as they reviewed images in his downtown office, takeout containers pushed aside to make room for photographs. Olivia considered the question. I admire their resilience. These plants have every reason to fail. Concrete, pollution, neglect, yet they still find ways to bloom. Like someone else I know, Theo said quietly. Their eyes met, and something shifted between them. Not romance, not yet, but understanding. Recognition of shared values. 3 months into their professional collaboration, Wild Earth published Blooming in Shadow, Olivia's 16-page spread of urban botanical photography. The response was overwhelming. Galleries called requesting exhibitions, environmental organizations sought her work for campaigns, and a prestigious publishing house proposed a coffee table book. On the night of her first gallery opening, Dahlia embraced her tightly. Look at you, Liv. You're absolutely radiant. Olivia caught her reflection in a window, cheeks flushed with excitement, eyes bright with purpose. She barely recognized herself compared to the hollow-eyed woman who'd sat alone in that cafe 6 months ago. Across the room, Theo raised his champagne glass in a silent toast. He had never once asked her to be more than she was. Instead, he had simply recognized what Julian had been too self-absorbed to see. That Olivia Meadows had always been enough, exactly as she was. As the evening concluded, Olivia realized with startling clarity that Julian's rejection, painful as it had freed her to become more fully herself than she ever could have been by his side. Full circle. Exactly 1 year after what should have been her wedding day, Olivia adjusted the emerald pendant at her throat as she entered the grand ballroom of the Harrington Hotel. The annual Environmental Conservation Gala was the most prestigious green event of the season, bringing together activists, politicians, and donors from across the country. A year ago, she would have entered this room as Julian's accessory, smiling politely while he networked. Tonight, she was here as a featured honoree for her work documenting endangered urban ecosystems. Nervous? Theo appeared at her side, handsome in his dark suit, offering a glass of sparkling water. A little, she admitted, accepting the drink, though not about the award. She didn't need to explain further. They both knew Julian would be here, representing political clients with environmental interests. It would be their first encounter since the cafe. Remember, Theo said gently, you're not the same person he left behind. The evening progressed with speeches and presentations. When Olivia took the stage to accept her award for conservation photography, she spoke passionately about finding beauty in overlooked places. The standing ovation that followed filled her with quiet pride. As she mingled afterward, a familiar voice froze her in place. Olivia, you look incredible. She turned slowly to face Julian, who stood with Genevieve Porter beside him. His smile was tentative, almost apologetic. Genevieve looked bored, scrolling through her phone. Thank you, Olivia replied, surprised by her own composure. Congratulations on the Westbrook campaign. Julian winced slightly. The Westbrook campaign had been his biggest political consulting failure to date, ending in scandal and resignation. Yes, well, win some, lose some. He cleared his throat. Your photography series is quite impressive. I always knew you had talent. No, you didn't, Olivia thought. You called it a hobby, something I should set aside for more important pursuits. If you'll excuse me, Genevieve interrupted, not looking up from her phone. Daddy needs me to speak with the energy secretary. She walked away without waiting for Julian's response. He watched her go, a flicker of frustration crossing his face. She's well connected, he said lamely, turning back to Olivia, though sometimes I wonder if connections are everything I thought they were. There was something in his expression, regret perhaps, or calculation. Olivia couldn't tell which was worse. Could we talk privately? Julian asked, lowering his voice. I've been thinking about us, about the mistakes I made. 1 year ago, these words would have been everything she wanted to hear. Now they felt hollow, like echoes from another lifetime. There is no us, Julian, she said gently. There hasn't been for a long time. I was wrong, he pressed on, stepping closer. You were always enough. More than enough. I was too blind to see it. Olivia felt a strange sense of calm. No, I wasn't enough for your ambitions, your social climbing, and that's okay, because you weren't enough for me either. I deserved someone who valued all of me, not just the parts that served their purposes. Julian's expression hardened. This is about Reynolds, isn't it? I've seen how he looks at you. This is about me, Olivia corrected. About discovering my worth isn't determined by someone else's assessment. Across the room, she caught Theo's eye. He was deep in conversation with environmental activists, but still somehow attuned to her, raising an eyebrow in silent question. Everything okay? She nodded slightly, then turned back to Julian. I wish you well, truly, but we've both moved on to where we belong. As she walked away, Julian called after her. He can't give you what I can, Olivia. My family has connections. Good night, Julian, she said without turning back. She joined Theo, who welcomed her with a warm smile that asked for nothing and offered everything. Later that evening, as they strolled through the hotel's rooftop garden, Olivia realized the irony. In losing what she thought she wanted, she had found what she truly needed, not just in Theo, but in herself. What are you thinking about? Theo asked, his hand finding hers among the moonlit flowers. Olivia smiled, watching the city lights shimmer below them like stars. I'm thinking that sometimes the best thing someone can tell you is that you're not enough for them, because it gives you the chance to discover just how much more than enough you really are. And in that moment, surrounded by resilient urban plants that bloomed despite all odds, Olivia Meadows knew with absolute certainty that she had finally, completely become herself.